Good evening, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of my holiday grief, 5-day event. I hope that you have been finding it helpful and that you have got some comfort from it, that you've got maybe some tools, some strategies, a little bit of help of getting through this Christmas season. My name is Dawn Patterson. I am the Wise Widow, and the Wise Widow was created to support and help widows and widowers in their grief. As a widow myself, I know how difficult it is to sometimes get through that day to day, not to mention the holiday season. The holiday season can be very lonely. It can be very overwhelming for many of us that have lost our partners. Tonight is a very special night. It is a night of honor, remembrance, and gentle love. We're going to talk about ways to carry our partner with us during the holidays, not in pain, but in presence. Grief is so heightened during the holidays, and tonight we're going to talk about new traditions, honoring our partners, and family dynamics. Family dynamics can certainly play a huge role in the healing of a widow or widower. People can unknowingly cause us a lot of stress. They can try fixing us when we truly are not broken. We are only in grief. And I shouldn't say only, I say that very lightly. It's not only grief, it is huge, the grief that we are in. And we don't get over it. We do not move on. Society and the world tells us move on. But love doesn't work that way. You don't just move on. We need to learn to live around our grief. And for some of us, it's much more difficult than others. It's unique to every one of us. It needs to be witnessed, honored, and allowed without judgment. We don't let go. We carry everything forward with us. And we evolve with the love from our partners. Honoring our partner does not keep us stuck. It keeps them as part of our story. Some of us may have felt the sting of having other people tell us that we have to quit talking about them, that it makes other people uncomfortable. And that is very hard for us because we want to talk about them. They are a part of our life, and we want to keep their memory alive. Traditions can be a huge thing at Christmas. Some traditions we will carry forward in honor of our partners, and other traditions may have to be released because it is just too painful to try to carry them forward. And sometimes the family dynamics can cause a problem with us trying to release some pain because of traditions. But sometimes we can do a wonderful thing with those traditions that maybe don't work the same way as they used to. And maybe they need to be modified a little bit. So we're going to talk tonight about how we can do that, what's going to work and what isn't going to work. First, I'm going to offer a few suggestions for maybe some new traditions that you could do in honor of your partner. Maybe what we need to do is light a candle. Light a candle in their memory and maybe light it every evening for a short time. Maybe have a small meditation, or maybe do a little bit of journaling, or maybe just some quiet time staring at that candle and remembering and enjoying some of the memories. Maybe we do that while we have some of their favorite music or their favorite song playing lightly in the background. Maybe we still make their favorite dish. Or maybe the person that is passed is the person that made the favorite dish. So maybe that tradition needs to change a little bit. Maybe that tradition needs released, or maybe it needs modified. And that's okay. Looking online or wherever you could be in your social media, you probably see a lot of ornaments being advertised that symbolize a loved one that has passed. Maybe that's something that you need to do, to buy one, maybe more of those ornaments. Maybe you buy one every year. Or maybe you don't like them at all. That's your call. For some people, it would be very symbolic to buy an ornament to honor their partner. And there's different ornaments every year. Maybe you need to write a letter. Write a letter to your partner and place it in the Christmas tree. Maybe you save them and write a new one every year and seal it. Or maybe you take that letter at the end of the Christmas season and you throw it in the fireplace and burn it. What are you going to do? Do any of those things work for you? Or maybe you make a small donation or do one act of kindness every year at Christmas to honor your partner. Do you set out a photo of them every Christmas, or maybe a photo of the two of you, or a family photo, or maybe they're always out? Do you spend time doing something that they loved just to try to keep their memory alive? New traditions should feel comforting, not heavy. If they feel heavy and they hurt and they're just too painful and you need to stop them, that's okay. You can stop doing some of the traditions you did if that's what helps you on your grief journey. Maybe some of those traditions are comforting, though, and they are helping you through the Christmas season. If it feels right, keep doing it. And if it's too painful, stop. But here's a big thing. Family dynamics come into play sometimes with those family traditions. Sometimes we have adult children that think that we should continue certain traditions that maybe you and your spouse did together. Maybe if your adult children want to continue those traditions, it's up to them to do it. Maybe you pass the torch. Or maybe you have to sit down with your children and say, you know what? Let's modify it, or let's release it and try something new. There's many different ways of overcoming the pain of family traditions. But sometimes these family dynamics can get in the way. And when we are around certain family members, sometimes we become who we were. Maybe you were the youngest of a few siblings, you have some older siblings, and every time you're around them, you go back to your inner child. And maybe they are always telling you what to do, how to feel, trying to fix you because they're your older siblings and they've always done that to you, and they're continuing to do it to you. Maybe we have to try to invite who we are unbecoming and embrace the new me of who we are becoming. Because we're trying to grow. But often around family, we digress a little bit. Different family members activate certain behaviors in us that we don't always want to see. Let's look at this for a little bit. What if the things people said, instead of letting it activate us, we just took it as a statement or a comment without reaction? What if we turned the comment around and the family member said something positive without it triggering or activating you? Would there be a way of rewording that statement or comment so that it's not so activating? Sometimes when family is around, we have to try really hard to not get involved in the drama. And maybe it's different now without our partner. Would you be able to sit back and not get involved? Just grab your popcorn and sit there and watch the show instead of being a part of it? What if we turned that around on that persona and said, no, I'm always working to communicate with honesty and calm. I'm trying to understand what I'm feeling. I'm always doing my best to respond and not react. Or I'm learning how to express myself a little better. I'm committed to peace, not anger. I'm showing up with compassion even when it hurts. I'm striving for clarity, not conflict. I'm choosing self-growth and emotional balance. I'm protecting my peace, not losing it. I'm always focusing on healing, not hostility. What if when these people made their hurtful comments or dished out their criticism, that we were able to make one of these comments and turn it around into a positive by saying your criticism doesn't help, but some constructive advice might or will. Maybe that isn't something you can say to your family members. Maybe it's not so easy to turn their judgmental or hurtful comments into a positive with all the examples I just gave. Maybe instead you could just sit back and go, isn't that interesting? And then just left it at that. Don't react. Don't react to their comments the way you always have your entire life. Would you be able to do that? That's just a little bit of food for thought with family dynamics, because family dynamics really plays a role in our lives. Maybe you're the oldest sibling and everybody always looked at you for the guidance, but now you're in grief. You have a hard enough time getting yourself together without getting the whole family together. So many things that have changed. But the rest of the family may think that you shouldn't change or you should always be the way you were. Sometimes that's just not possible. So, those of you that I emailed the workbook to, if you wanted to pull it out, we're going to go through a couple of things in there with honoring our loved one, with talking about some new traditions or releasing some old traditions or modifying some traditions, and a little bit more about family dynamics and maybe an activity or two that we can look at in that workbook. I'm going to start off with asking, what traditions feel too heavy right now? Is there something that is within your family, a tradition that is just too much for you? Is there a memory that actually brings you peace that you can think about? And what about honoring our partners? Is there a gentle way that we could do that? Would you want to sit down and write about it a little bit? Try to figure out what traditions you can change and what ones are a little too difficult to change? Let's talk about what's in the workbook. Turn to the page where it says Night 4, New Traditions, Honoring Your Partner and Family Dynamics. And I already talked about some ideas for new traditions. I'm going to get you to take a piece of paper and we're going to cut it into 3 sections. Just draw a couple lines down the middle. And title 1 at the top, Before My Life, one that says Early Grief Holidays, and one that says This Year Forward. And maybe using stickers or colored pens or whatever you want. Take some of those traditions and mark them down, write them down, and then beside each one, I want you to mark or put a sticker. Is it a tradition you can keep? Is it one you would like to modify? Or is it one that you need to release? Some examples, maybe it was baking cookies or decorating. Or maybe there was certain gifts that were bought that were a tradition. That now the person that you did that with isn't here. And you just don't want to do it anymore. Or maybe you don't know how to do it anymore. Maybe there was a certain recipe of a dish that that person made and you're not even going to attempt it. So mark those down. Do you keep it, modify it, or release it? And you know what? Maybe for some of you, you may have preteens or teenage children, that maybe this is something that you need to do together with them. Maybe you have adult children that you need to talk about traditions with. Or maybe it's just family members in general. Maybe you each use a different colored pen or a different sticker. And as you write down some of these traditions, each person puts a check mark in a different color in the column, keep, modify, or release. Not all of you might have the same answer. And then create a discussion of how everybody can heal. Create a ritual that keeps your partner's presence woven into the season. Maybe use candles, photos, ornaments. There's lots of different things that we can do to honor ritual building. And maybe you want to create your own tradition. And number 2 there in your workbook, there's some ideas. And then number 3 is a family dynamics map to understand shifting roles, expectations, emotional pressures within the family. And there's a little bit of a how-to there that you can do it. For any of you that do not have the workbook and you would like to get your hands on the workbook, please email me, grief@thewisewidow.ca, and I will make sure that I get the workbook to you. There's a few different activities in here that can help you to modify, change, and release family traditions. Some traditions need a bit of a makeover, maybe yearly. Because of your emotional capacity, they're going to change. Choose a tradition that feels overwhelming to you or lonely, and write the old version down, and then maybe brainstorm with your family a new version, or maybe rewrite it completely. There's holiday conversation cards, and that's in there. Memory ornaments. And then there's always boundaries, holiday boundaries that we need to set. Something else that can be done to help with family dynamics is within your family, instead of everybody talking at once, you could, in a sense, do kind of a role play or playing that you do a 2-chair conversation. And this helps to release emotion and tension within the family and stops everybody from talking at once. So place 2 chairs in the middle of the room facing each other. One person sits in one chair and the other person sits in the other chair. And maybe there's something that comes up that needs to be talked about, and only the people that are in the chairs are allowed to talk. Or maybe there's things that you need to talk to your partner about, and you sit in one chair and you leave that other chair, put their picture in it, and address your partner. Or maybe it's the difficult family member, someone, and you speak freely. Maybe instead of doing it with 2 people, maybe you need to do it alone. That you sit in the chair, you put your partner's picture and you talk to them. Or maybe you have a difficult family member. So you sit in one chair as yourself and you have a conversation, and then you act as the difficult family member and sit in the other chair and answer for them, and go from chair to chair. Have your own conversation and see if you can work it out. See what happens. Maybe there's some healing there that can happen. Try to figure out the family dynamics. There's ways to try to get around it. Try figuring out the traditions that are too heavy and maybe pass them aside. Maybe there's a memory that brings you peace. And maybe there's a gentle way of honoring your person. Maybe you need to write it down. Maybe it's too painful. I'm going to talk about 6 holiday grief points. David Kessler, who is a um, world renowned grief educator, and he's a specialist in grief. He's an amazing man. Uh, he has a thing, it's called 6 holiday grief points, and it's what David Kessler teaches. He talks about feeling your feelings. If you're sad, be sad. And if you're angry, don't judge yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself to be further along than you are. Because during the holidays, they can make the holiday season, it can make us digress. Be easy on yourself. Let your family be who they are. As David teaches, the ones who say stupid things are going to continue to say stupid things. And the ones who are selfish are probably going to stay selfish. The crazy ones are still going to be crazy, and the ones that are codependent are going to stay codependent. Concentrate on being with the people that you want to be with. If you need to go have coffee with a friend to vent or get some comfort or understanding, go do it. The holidays are tough. Give yourself permission to cancel Christmas if you are not up to it. Without judgment. Don't worry about what others say, think, or do. If Christmas is way too difficult for you and it is just not in your scope this year, you can cancel it. You know what? I need to pass this year. I'm just going to have some quiet time with my memories at home. And stay in the future. You're going to keep changing. Things are never going to stay the same. And you're going to look at things differently all the time now. Don't stay in the past. The past isn't here anymore. It has disappeared. Tomorrow is always on its way. And there's always going to be change. Nothing stayed the same even when your partner was alive. Things were constantly changing and evolving. And it's going to continue that way. And it's not easy. You will learn to build your life around your grief. There's something else that I want to do tonight. I want to end tonight a little bit differently. I'm going to end it with a little candlelight meditation. And I'm going to light a candle here, but I'm just going to turn the light out. And I'm going to light this candle. And I have a little meditation, a candlelight meditation. And I actually wrote this and I want to share it with you. I call it Rising from the Ashes. The room is dim, and the only light flickering is from this single candle. Its glow dances across the walls, casting shadows that move like whispers of the past. You take a deep breath, and the feeling of warmth from the flame. You can feel the warmth, sensing the quiet strength it holds. We feel it within. And I invite you to close your eyes. And here's how the story begins. She once sat in the same darkness where silence felt heavier than stone, where the weight of loss pressed into her chest. She'd been a wife, a partner, a part of something whole. But then the earth shifted beneath her feet. The man she had built her life with was gone. The world kept spinning, indifferent to her pain, and she was left standing alone in the wreckage of what had been. At first, the loneliness was suffocating. Nights stretched endlessly, and mornings felt like an unwanted burden. People told her time would heal, but time only carved deeper the hollow ache inside her. Well meaning voices told her what she should do, how she should move on, but none of them had walked in her shoes. One evening, she lit a candle, just like this one. She stared at the flame, fragile yet strong, swaying but never breaking. A quiet realization settled over her. She is still here. She is still breathing. If this small flame can stand tall in the darkness, so can she. She took one small step forward, then another. She had to shovel the snow now and cut the grass, learn how to change a tire, make financial decisions on her own. Each task felt impossible, but with each success, her confidence grew. The whispers of doubt from others saying, "You can't do this alone. You need someone to take care of you," started to become mere noise in the background of her rising strength. She found herself again not part of a couple, but as a whole person. And when she looked around, she saw other widows walking on the same lonely path. She knew she had to do something. So she gathered them, offering a space to share the pain, to learn the skills no one had ever taught them. Together, they learned how to tackle the blue jobs society assumed they couldn't do. They supported each other through grief, through finances, boundaries, and travel. No longer bound to fear, they learned to embrace life on their own terms. Then she took another step, learning to enjoy her own company. She began going to dinner by herself, feeling confident as a solo. She no longer hesitated to book a trip alone, embarking on solo travel, where she could meet new friends at retreats and on cruises. She attended activities she would never have dared to do alone before. She started to attend book club, go swimming, play pickleball, and curling. She learned that solitude was not loneliness, but a gift. She cherished her time alone, now watching the shows she liked, eating whenever she pleased, and doing laundry on her own schedule, not dictated by anybody else. The first year was sheer survival. The second and third years brought new awareness. She was no longer simply surviving. She was rebuilding. And with each new day, new dreams began to shape. The old plans, once built for two, had changed. Now her plans revolved around her own needs, wants, and aspirations. The world had opened so many new doors. She realized she could do whatever she wanted. Was a new career on the horizon? Had her vision of retirement shifted? Where did she truly want to live now? What kind of residence suited her new lifestyle? Questions were flooding her mind. Should she sell the house? What do I do financially? Where should I travel next? Can I raise these kids alone? Maybe I should get a dog. Doubt crept in, as it always does. But she was stronger now. She knew she could answer these questions with confidence and decisiveness. She had already overcome so much. This, too, she would navigate with grace. The memories of him never fade away. She can still hear his laughter, still catch the familiar scent of him in unexpected moments. But now the memories no longer bring sadness, they bring joy. She carries them as cherished treasures, not as weights of sorrow. Many friends disappeared, uncertain how to talk to her, feeling awkward in her presence. They hesitated to invite her, that she would feel like the third wheel. They moved on, and in their minds, they expected her to do the same. But she had changed. She was not the same person she had been when he was alive. She was adapting to widowhood, embracing the shift from we to me. She had become comfortable in her solo existence, standing strong in her independence. She soars like an eagle, strong and independent, ruling the skies with grace and confidence. She moves forward with the power of a lion, a leader who commands respect, inspiring others to find their own strength. Others now look to her, seeing the path she forged, knowing they too can make their own decisions, set their own boundaries, and live life on their terms. I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the warmth of your candle and let that breath go. Let the light of the candle remind you you are stronger than the darkness. You are capable, resilient, and free. Let go of fear. Let go of doubt. Rise like she would, and like she did, and like you will too. Gently open your eyes and watch the candle burn, steady and bright, the same as you do. I want to thank you for being with me tonight. Thank you for honoring your partner tonight with such love and honesty. And move forward in peace. You are stronger than you think. And you are allowed to alter your Christmas traditions. And the holidays is about you too. It's not about just the family and what the family was used to. Go forth and believe in yourself. Thank you so much for being with me. Tomorrow night is night 5 of my holiday grief series. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about navigating the new year because it's just around the corner too. We're going to talk about a bit of self-care and what it means to all of us to be able to step forward in our grief and be able to have confidence in ourselves. So I wish you a good night and thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you tomorrow night. Blessings.